Hi, this is Sally Wood for Be Inspired, and today I've got yet another pair of chairs to do. My job is cyclical. Sometimes I'll have a pair of things, I'll get a run on footstools, and that's all I get for a couple of months. That's the main project, so pairs of items seem to be the setup at the moment. But anyway, this is, these are all sewn in and then pulled on, so they're like sleeves. So not too much, I don't think, to discuss with you, but as and when I get there, I will. Let's get on with it. Like all projects, the bottom cloth needs to come off first. And this one actually looks like it's in quite good condition, so I will be keeping it. I will leave this front border on though. It saves a bit of time covered. I think their staple gun must have been misfiring because most of these are in pairs. It's a little bit slow. Somebody has taken the time to draw these out and then cut them into shape. You can do that, or you can use a straight one and just put little pleats in. I'm making my way around the back tacking that was under here, and then in turn the piping. Remember to take your staples out, all of them. It's nothing worse than finding them ripping your skin open. But once all of this is removed, I'll be able to start working on the main cover. Now I'm going to start removing here, which might be a bit of a bind. So I'm going to pull that and then ease up the staples like that as I go. Oh gosh, they've really jammed these ones in. I don't want to mess with the wood frame, so I'm going to do this very carefully. When I've got a staple up, I'll just remove it like I usually do. But it looks like I'm going to have to dig around in there and along here first before all of this comes out, which is fair enough. Sometimes you can do it with a pair of pliers. That doesn't want to work either. Okay, there we go. So I can use a pair of pliers in this case. Very carefully work around things like this because you don't want to damage it. Here I have the front of the chair. It's rounded, not just that way, but this way too. And I need to make a front border of these birds, which means I'm going to have to find the centre, push it a little way in. So here's the centre here, put a pin down there like that. I'm going to measure across the centre here, a little bit of equal pushing underneath. It comes to 11 inches. So I'm going to put a pin in at 11 inches. Double check that. I have a really big pattern here. I think what I want is the bird wing to really take up the majority of this, because then I'll get 3 birds in. So I'm going to pop this pin here into the bird's nose, straight in, and just make sure it looks okay. I'm going to pull that out to the sides. So this pin here that's in the center, I'm going to pop down and pin it underneath like that, straight up into there. This looks pretty even, so I want these birds' wings to be equally even, which means that they're going to go around like that. I could take it straight, in which case the birds are going to go a bit at a downwards angle, which I don't want. Pop that round, pull it in tight and pin at the back end there, and the same here. Pull this one round even and pin that also on the back side there. Now I've got all this fabric, I'm going to push that into here, pin the end of the bird's beak into line so it's nice and straight, and the same with this one. Pull that one in so the bird's beak is nice and straight. It should be evenly placed along the back side. So now I've got to get rid of this. I don't think I want big pleats. I could do a pleat here. It would have to follow this line, which could work. Maybe I'll do that. And because it's into the bird's tail, it might be a good place to do it. Or I could do 2 smaller ones, but then they go in at angles. So I think what I'm going to do is follow this, push that in like that, so the bird's tail is part of it. If I stop sewing here where the join is, it won't ruck up too much here. So let's pop that in here as tight as I can. I'm going to put this pin sideways. So that means I'm going to do the same with this one. I'm going to pull that there and that there, but you see this side doesn't want to go in the same way. This is the thing you'll find with patterns, is one side might do better than another, and it might pull out because at the moment it's just pinned in. And there again, if I stop sewing round about there, and again I'll put the pin in sideways. The fabric has like a velvet embossed on it, so it's not going to be very easy to work with. I will put a pin where I'm going to stop sewing, and again here. Now I've got 2 matching chairs. I'm going to make a matching front border for the second chair. So I'm going to knit on that fold there and that fold there. And the same on this side. I'm going to nick on this side here and underneath again, that side there. I'm also going to measure down to where this and this further here cross on both sides to make sure that they're the same. If I go into this fold here, it's 5 inches, and with a bit of luck, it's 5 inches on the other side. And it is. Okay, the other measurement I'm going to take is this one. That's 1 inch there. That's just under 1 inch. Now I think I liked this one better, it seems to go in. So when I come to do this side, I'm going to make sure this one comes in the same way. It just needs to be pulled over just a wee tad more. Remove these, because I want to make that alteration fold this along the centre line, like that. And I'm going to recut this one here. It's the front half that has to be changed. The back half is absolutely perfect. Make my mark there. So this is the next one. Lay that down. Because of the way the birds are, this is the salvage for here and that's there. So that's going to be slightly different. Move those so it is absolutely over the corresponding pattern. And I'm just going to cut the front, the second one, because that was the one that I need. There and there. Before I forget which one it is that I want to follow, I'm going to put a pin on here. This is my sew line, not the one next to it. So remember, pin, make marks while you remember. If you do a number of things, you always need to make sure you know which one's which. The other thing is, if you were to fold this up and leave it, in a day or two, I wouldn't know which one it is that I want to follow. I'm going to make sure that these two run even, like that. And I'm going to measure from here down to my 5 inches. And all I'm going to do is finger press that fold in. Make sure it's really nicely firm in. And that means you have to probably pull up the bottom there because that's where the curve is. Now I'm going to fold that like this. Pop this under. On this foot I have a little red arrow that I can follow, and I'm going to follow it down towards the ends there. So now the 5 inches is just shy of the end of here, but I'm only going to sew it down 5 inches. I'm not going to go to the end, I'll leave the end open. My stitch will be on a 3 because I want it quite small. Reverse at the top and then go all the way down, and then stop and reverse. Open that up and see how that looks. By leaving the bottom open, it just allows the fabric to move. Not only that, this feather here that comes in is quite bulky, and if I take it all the way down, it's just going to look odd. That should look even when it's in place. I'll work on the other 3 darts. Basically do the same on here. This is the one I want to bring it to, so I'm going to bring it on over like that. Make sure the top 2 pieces are even so they go in at an angle. Measure it down to the 5 inches, which is there, and finger press that into place. Once you're happy with the way you've finger pressed everything in on the second side, pull the fabric over like that. And again, go down from the top to the bottom. This has a pile to it, and I want the pile to be running in the same direction. You can pull that over, and again, sew to just before the end there. Forward and back, and on down. If you don't think you can follow a fold line, then draw a line in there. That's perfectly okay. Just before the end, reverse. I'm going to remark the center here. So that's 11 inches. I'll put a pin here. Bring this forward and overlap it about 1 inch and bring that into place and pin it again. And I'm also going to make sure that that is even to the front. I've tucked that into the corners there. Here's my piece of fabric that I've just used. And pull that over like that. Mark the center and the center, which is actually quite easy because it goes here. Pull my pin out, pull that up, pin that in a second into place. I say in a second because what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread this out like this and put a couple of pins along the front to hold it. I don't want it moving. These pleats have to be over the top, which I'm also going to pin there and here on this side. I'm pulling it quite tight across the front, just sideways. Pull that a little bit further over the top. Line this up. I'm going to roll this into the corner here where the 2 seams, literally here where that is, and pin it. This I'm going to hold it there, roll it in, bring that also to that point and pin that. The trick is to keep everything as smooth as possible. And the reason I've put it upside down is because once I've put this in place, I don't want to unpin it and have to start again. As I come around, I'm smoothing this back into place like that. Feel where the join is, like that. Smooth into this corner. And I'm going to have to fold the fabric to get it exactly where I want it. So I'm going to have to adjust it. But this, I'm going to pull in again, put a pin in. I'm going to have to do it separately on both chairs just in case there's a difference in them. If there is any difference, once all of this is sewn in, I can pull the underside of the seat into place as I go. That's going there. This is going to be pulled back and on up. I'm going to have to remove this pin here because it's holding it too firmly for me. Removing this is the most important part of the project. Got that side pinned in, and now I'm going to work on this side. Push that underneath there, like that. It should be equal both sides. Just start moving all of this around. This can be rolled back slightly so that it will give when I get there. And this will, when I've put a little bit more padding on, it should come in without being too wrinkled. Again here, remove the pin on the side because it won't fold properly and work it in. The reason I'm not cutting any of this off is I might need it to go under the side here. See that? I'm rolling that round like that and then just pinning this into place on top. It's awkward to get right in the side because that just does its own thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start sewing where I finish pinning because I need all of this to go in, and then I'll take it back and try it in place before I do the next part. Let's come around here, pull that out. If you can follow the pin lines, that's a really good method of doing this. Because there's a curve, I'm going to tip it up slightly because that usually takes in everything you want. Try to smooth out anything underneath. It feels wrinkly, so I hope I don't have to do this twice. And then on down. Keep adjusting the fabric. Keep just a little bit of tautness on, but not too much, because you don't want to be stretching the fabric out of place. You just want to be stretching the fabric into place. The darts have to be facing out from the center, so make sure they're doing what they need to be doing. Make sure the fabric underneath is flat, because you don't want to be sewing wrinkles in if you can help it. I can adjust any of this if I want to. I'm not going to do a forward and reverse, I'm going to just leave it. I'm going to cut in at an angle like this with about 3/4 of an inch seam allowance. You could have done this before, you don't have to do it afterwards. And then when you get to the end, just go away like that, just in case you cut stuff off you don't want to. I'm just going to dry try this, see whether it's exactly where I want it to go, and I might just carry on up on that angle because it's a nice easy angle to do. When I lay it out, that's what I'll do on both sides. I think that will work, and then it's nicely finished. That comes in just slightly there, and that will come round. It's a little bit wrinkled, but there's really not very much I can do about that. It might just come out as it's being pulled in. The other thing is usually I have this going the other way, but I'm going to have to sew it in here. I'm going to have to pin it. I probably won't sew from right on the ends. I might just go from here to here, just so it's secured in the center. This is the steepest side, and then it kind of evens out, so it won't matter on either side, it just needs to be pulled in here. I've got a bit of dacron here. And the nice thing about dacron is it kind of moves and does what you want it to do. So I'm stretching it and putting it in under here to hold, and the same on that side. I've also brought it forward like that so that it's not all the way over the top. Here's my front. I'm going to pull that into position. It must be a little bit over because I need to sew through to hold it. The seam at the front here, everything's going to go forward. This is coming over just a little ways because I need to sew all the way through it, and then ease that into position as well. I know it's a little bit plumper than it was, but I think that will work. I'm just going to line the center up again here, and I'm going to pin that, holding that all into place on the front. Actually, I'm going to pin it back into it like that, and I'm probably only going to sew it as far as those pleats. So I'm going to straighten those pleats out and also pin those back into the seat like that side, pull it down and into place on that side. Really, all you're doing is holding it, and I just want it to dip down like it was at the front. I'm going to take this pin out for now along here, so that the fabric will twist a little bit better. And I am just going to start sewing into the chair seat. This is a bit of a bind actually. Can I push it up from... Oh, No, I can't. Being right-handed, I like to start things on this side. So I'm going to sew as close to the stitches as I can and pick up the fabric here underneath. I really dislike these needles because they never work properly. I find them very difficult to control. And get it as close as you can and pull it through. Hopefully that holds. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning and put another stitch in. You don't have to pull it tight, it's just holding it. It's not doing major work down there. Put the next stitch in. Make sure the fabric is following the stitching underneath. Put another one in and another one. Take your pins out as you go because you don't want to leave those in. If you leave those in, somebody might get hurt. Okay, so that's following that one. I've just got upholstery thread in here because I'm going to want to come around here a little way. Put a pin in here, and this should have enough give in it that it will move. They're like nice big homeward bounders. There's no prettiness involved at all in these. I'm just going to do a couple of stitches to hold this in place. Once I've got that done, I'm just going to pull this all the way back and into place. All the way to the back and all the way to the sides. I'll pull all of this in a minute. We can lift this up and you can actually see the back here. It kind of goes funky. I'm going to cut in like that, across like that, and then across like that, like a V. This side is going to go under here, and this side can go under the back there. Pull this under here, and then I'll do the same on this side. Go into the center, and then either way like that, push that back. I've got something coming down the back here. Okay, so there's a center piece there. Again, I'm going to cut on either side. I can trim those back as I get to them. It gives a nice new base to that. Pop down the back. I'm going to push the top in here like that because I don't need that at the moment. I'm going to pull this to the back and also out to the side and staple in place as I make my way to the front. I'll trim this back and I'll carry on round the back of the chair. Now I've started putting this in, I'm going to bring this under to this corner here. There's the chair leg is here, right into this corner, which is really low. So I'm going to cut from way back here. So the top wings are here, and I'm going to cut down from the top. That should still get across here. I need to bring it down a little bit further. And don't cut too far out because all of this has to go in. These shape chairs are really weird. So the front here goes there. Okay, I think I've got that. Once it started going in, I'm actually going to cut, oopsie daisy, I'm going to cut up in a straight line to there, and that should start pulling in. I might need to cut it back a little bit because I've got to bring it all the way around here and into this corner. I'm hoping I've got the two corners identical because something I did notice is I haven't cut them identical in here. This one should have come up a little bit further, but I think I'll be okay. Can't expect everything to go right when you're doing things. And then I can pull this into the center and that one out. I think it'll be fine. So I'm going to measure from the center here, which is a little bit awkward because it's on a funky angle, all the way into here, which is 25 inches. So 25 inches, half of 25 is 12 and a half. So I'm going to put a mark here. Pull the center in as tight as I can. I might need to undo this. This looks like it's going to wrinkle. That's a bellow. Okay, I'm going to undo these and then just pull it in. Just undone this. Bring this in really tight. Just pull that in as tight as I can. Work my way around. I'm going to go to this side first. I think I need to cut that back just a wee tad. Now usually all of this would be level as it goes round. It's not going to be completely where I want it. I think what I need to do is measure from here. Okay, so that has to come down slightly that way. And I'm just going to pull this in just a wee bit. Now that's not going to move either way, so I'm going to carry on down this way first. As I bring this round, what's going to happen is this is going to come in slightly at an angle, and there's nothing very much I can do about that, as long as I've got it coming in at the same angle on the other side. So I think what I'm going to do is try to get this feather here on the edge of that chair, and then it'll be even. I'm going to be putting piping on under here, so if it wrinkles a little bit, I should be able to hide most of that. Okay, I'm going to undo these couple here and pull that in slightly differently. Work into the middle. Pull this in here. This needs to come up and this needs to go underneath. I got to work out how to cut into here. It's going to be just a little nick to make it really tight. And then I can cut this in a straight line like that. The fabric can go up and underneath here on the side. In fact, I can probably put a staple in there if I wanted to, but I'm not going to because I might need to cut that again. But it'll be just another small, if I can find it, because it's right in there and I can't pull it all back out. So I think that's it now. I'm going to pull this in and into place here. Oops, that goes up and then that comes in, but that could, okay, so I've got to make another nick this way into that corner. The reason is this is going to have to go down and into place here, and the top of this wing is level with here. That's where this comes into. Keep that there for the moment and I'll fix this side. I'm cutting and pulling this into shape and trying to make this even compared to the other side, and it should match the other one. When you've got big patterns, you just have to make sure that they are as even as possible. I've just popped another piece of filler in on this side all the way to the top, and I'm going to work this piece in, pull that in and secure it under there, and then I'm going to take this piece out to the side here and secure it under. I'm going to just cut this back a little bit here because I don't need all of that. I don't need all of that. That's fine. Now this piece comes in down here. Thank you for joining me on this project. It was a little bit of a headache. 3 different kinds of fabric plus the stabilising. So 4 fabrics all doing their own thing. But I think in all, the chairs look the chairs look really fun actually. I'm actually blown away with how well they turned out. So if you want to hear more from me, please subscribe, hit the bell button and a few thumbs up. Lets me know how I'm getting on. And in the meantime, take care. See you later. Ciao.